So, hello guys, my name is Jospin Muzaliwa, a student in CPL class at Proactive. So today I'm going to show you how the paperwork from the pre-flights is carried out. That is basically the fuel calculation, the mindset balance sheets, that's what we normally call the load sheet, and the flights plan, which we have to submit to the controller for our flights to be conducted. This is the load sheets, which helps you to know whether the flight which you are about to carry out is within the limits that the manufacturer has set for the aircraft which is being flown. In our case, it's Charlie 172, and this paper or these load sheets help us to know the limits, the maximum amounts of the maximum weights which you can carry in our Charlie 72. That include the weight of the pilots and the co-pilots, whether he's there or let's say the instructor, and the fuel on boards. From this paper we calculate and find out whether we are within the limits set by the manufacturer for our flights to be conducted safely. So guys, this is how it's done. So the weights which are entered here in our load sheet must be in pounds. That's a requirement. And the arm, we found the arm which is the distance from the datum to the center of gravity, and the momentum, which is in inches. So this weight here is the weight of the pilot and the co-pilots. In our case, is the weight of the students plus the weight of the instructor. Then the total down here is the zero fuel weight, which is the weight of the aircraft, empty aircraft, plus the weight of the souls on board. That's the student and the instructor. Then we have to bring down here the weight of the fuel which we have prior our flights. In our case, we'll have 240 pounds. That's the full tank actually for our Charlie 172. Then we bring again the total of our zero fuel weights and the fuel which we are carrying on board, which is 240. That means we have the full tank. The total is known as the takeoff weights, which we bring here. And then below here we have the fuel which we'll consume. As per our plotting, we know our ground speed, which we found from the plotting and the distance. We know that we'll consume 91.2 pounds of fuel, which we bring as well here. And finally, we calculate our landing weights, the weights which we'll be having, the total weights which we'll be having on landing. That's we subtract the 91.2 from our takeoff mass, which will have consumed this 91.2. We assume that this is the fuel that we'll have consumed during our flight. So at the landing, we'll be having these weights here. The momentum, we found the momentum, which is a bit another topic to explain, but I will make it as short as possible. The momentum is the product of the weights with the arm. So we multiply, we get the momentum, and the arm is we divide our momentum by our weights, which we get our actual momentum. Figures here from our takeoff weights and takeoff momentum. We bring the figures here in this graph, and then we draw two lines from the momentum and from the mass, where those two lines will intercept. That's our landing weights, and then it has to fall within the envelope. In our case, we can see that it has fallen within the envelope. That means we are good for a takeoff. It will be a safe takeoff. Same way for the landing. We bring our mass, the figure that we got for the landing mass here on the graph, and the landing momentum here, which is in our case this one. We bring it here. Then we draw the lines where those two lines will intercept, that will be our landing weight. Again, as you can see, it has fallen within the envelope. That means we are good for a takeoff and a landing, both safely. So here is another paper for our flights, which has to be filled prior to the flights, which is the ICAO flight plan. Since we are operating in Kenya, it's the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority which has to provide us with the flight plan. Since they are the aviation authority in our country, Kenya. So what we are just basically filling here is the details of the aircraft's destination and what we'll be carrying. For example, here is the immatriculation, the registration number of our aircraft, which is 5 Yankee Charlie Charlie Zulu. That's where we start to fill our flight plan. That is our registration. Then after 7 we go to item 8, which is the flight rule which we are conducting. We'll be conducting a VFR flights, which is a visual flight rule, meaning we'll be flying based on our ground features. That's the reason why we have the map and everything. Type of flight is the general flights. Type of the aircraft is a Charlie 172, which is a Cessna 172. Number of the flight plan is 1, that's why we are rating here 01. And the time we are planning to take off. Then see this here, this is important actually, the wake turbulence category. Under ICAO there's 3 categories, which are heavy, medium and lights. Our aircraft is under the light categories, that's why we are rating an L here. This is meaning that the S here, Sierra, meaning that we have a transponder. We have a transponder on which we can select a mode Charlie, which shows the difference, the height from the ground and the distance from a ground feature. So November 0090 means our average cruising speed, which is 90 knots. That's the average, but it can change depending on the weather factor. That's winds, temperature, density. Yeah, but the average in the flight plan is 090, that is 90 knots. The level, since we are flying a VFR flight, which is a visual flight rule, we cannot enter numbers here. We'll be flying below the transition altitude, which in our case here in Nairobi is 9,000 feet, but we'll be flying below the transition altitude. That's why we are filling here with the VFR. So we are taking off from Nairobi Wilson, which is Hotel Kilo November Whiskey, direct to Hotel Kilo November Kilo, which is Nanyuki in our case. And we expect our flights to take 50 minutes. That's why we are writing here direct 0500 to overhead Hotel Kilo November Kilo, which is Nanyuki. Down here, our destination again is Hotel Kilo November Whiskey, which is Wilson, because we are not landing, we are not doing a full stop landing in Nanyuki. We are coming back to Nairobi Wilson, which is our base. That's why we are writing destination will be back at Nairobi Wilson. This is the time that we expect our one-leg flight to take, which is 50 minutes. And here are our alternate airports. One, we've put Hotel Kilo Mike Golf, which is Magadi, which is not far from Wilson, which can be our alternate in case we have to fly back to Nairobi and then maybe Wilson is closed, or there's the weather at Wilson does not permit a safe landing. Then we can divert to Magadi, which is not far. Operator is Proactive. The aircraft which we are operating belong to Proactive. Then our endurance. Now we convert our endurance fuel from pounds to hours. In our case, we'll be flying with 3 hours endurance. Person on board 002 mean that will be 2, and we cannot exceed that number which we've filled in the flight plan. It's 002, we have to be 2 souls on board. Then there's aircraft colors and markings. Our aircraft is white and it has blue markings, blue stripes. That's why we are writing here. This is in case of search and rescue, whether maybe it's happened that we make a forced landing somewhere. A person who's flying above us must be able to identify these colors for them to confirm that it's really our aircraft which has made a forced landing on that specific place. The pilot in command, in our case, it's me, Jospin Muzaliwa. So we just fill the name here, and I'm the one who took the flight plan to the controller, so I just write it again here, and finally I'll have to sign and wait for the controller to approve my flight plan. Yeah, I think we're okay.